This tutorial is for first grade, Module 1, Lesson 31. In Lesson 31, we're going to look at problems that we would consider change unknown problems. And what I mean by that is, for each problem, we'll start off with a set number of objects. We will subtract some from the original set, but at the start, we don't know how many we subtracted. So that's why it's called change unknown. We do know how many objects we're left with after that subtraction has been done. So we're going to use pictures to help us figure out the change unknown situation. For example, number 1 says Kate made 7 cookies. Bill ate some. Now Kate has 5 cookies. How many cookies did Bill eat? So 7 cookies shows the number that we have at the start. Bill ate some means that we will subtract some number, but again, that's the change unknown. The sum word tells us we don't know how many Bill ate. We do know that after Bill ate his cookies, Kate is left with 5 cookies. So here's how we can use the picture to help. We start with the full 7 cookies. We know that Kate has 5 cookies left at the end, so that means 5 cookies were uneaten. I'm going to count out 5 of those cookies to show the cookies that were not eaten. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to leave those first 5 cookies whole, and I'm going to cross off the rest of the cookies. I could also draw a dividing line here. So these cookies are the cookies that Bill ate. So now I know how many he ate. If Kate started with 7 cookies and ended with 5 cookies, that means Bill ate 2 of the cookies. To fill in our number sentence below, let's first fill in the numbers that we know at the start of the problem. We know that Kate had 7 cookies. We know that Bill ate some of the cookies, so we're going to subtract that amount, but we don't know what that amount is yet. We do know that Kate ended up with 5 cookies. So again, looking at our picture, we can see we started with the 7. If we take away the 2 cookies that Bill ate, we ended up with 5 cookies for Kate. So Bill ate 2 cookies. The number bond here is just to show how we can decompose those 7 cookies. So we had 7. We know that Kate ended up with 5 of them and that Bill ate 2 of them. So the number bond is just to show how we're decomposing 7 in this particular problem. Let's look at another example. In this one, it says Tim has 8 pencils. He lost some pencils. He now has 4 pencils. How many pencils did Tim lose? So again, we know the number of pencils that Tim had at the start. He lost some pencils, which we don't know how many that is, but we do know he had 4 pencils left after he lost some of his pencils. So let's start by counting out the 4 pencils that he has left. We know at the end he has 4 pencils. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll say those are the 4 pencils he had left. Everything after that would be the pencils that he lost. So we'll just cross off the rest of the pencils. That helps us see that he lost 4 pencils. Again, we'll use the number sentence to show the context of the situation. We'll start with just the information we know. We know that Tim had 8 pencils. He lost some pencils, so we're not going to fill in that box yet. And he had 4 pencils at the end. So after we work through that situation, we know that he lost 4 of them. So the original number of pencils minus the 4 that he lost left him with 4. And again, the number bond is just there to show how we're decomposing the 8 in this situation. So we had 8. He had 4 pencils at the end. He lost 4 pencils. And now we can fill in our answer statement. Tim lost 4 pencils. Let's look at one more example. This one says a store had 6 shirts. They sold some, and now there are 2 shirts on the rack. How many shirts were sold? The picture shows us the original 6 shirts. They sold some, and now there are 2 shirts left on the rack. So I'm going to count out those 2 shirts that are left. I can kind of divide that out and then cross off the remaining shirts, because those would be the shirts that were sold if there were only 2 left on the rack. And again, we can see that there are 4 shirts that we crossed off, so that shows the shirts that were sold. For the number sentence, we know that we started with 6 shirts. We know that we had 2 left after some of the shirts were sold. We figured out that 4 of them were sold. For the number bond, we'll decompose 6 into 4 and 2. And finally, we'll show that 4 of the shirts were sold.